Sir. Good evening to our chief guest and to our viewers. So before beginning, I shall introduce the Simmi Foundation to all of you. Simmi Foundation. So Simmi is basically the Smart India Multi-Management Institute. It is a non-profit organization operating in Gurgaon, Haryana. It takes multiple efforts to work towards the goal. I'm sorry. To work towards the goal of building a more progressive and a utopian society, which is founded by Mr. Manish Sharma and co-founded by Mr. Nitesh Kumar. The mission of the organization is to uplift those who are burdened with the issues of livelihood, education, healthcare, and lack of women empowerment. The organization acts as a helping hand with a motive to improve the quality of life and the quality of people. So, introducing our chief guest, Mr. Santosh Avvannavar. I'm so sorry for
No
mispronouncing,
problem.
sir.
Perfectly. No problem. It's fine.
Yeah. Who is the CEO of QT's team and a mentor of QtPi Robotics, an RJ and a columnist. He is also a TEDx organizer and has been a TEDx speaker 10 times. He is an alumnus of NITK, that is Surathkal, and IIC Bengaluru. He has experience as a soft skills trainer, author, counselor, and consultant. He has also written a bestseller title that is She Ekla Chalo Re. We at the Simi Foundation welcome you, sir.
Thank you very much. And hi to all the viewers. And thanks for this opportunity to speak with you and the foundation. And wonderful to hear the initiation taken by your foundation.
Thank you, sir. So the very first question to you is, in one of your TED Talks in regards to communication, you highlight three types of communication. So I wanted to know what factors do you feel plays an important role in how our communication skills are.
Yeah, it is a very open-ended question and very difficult to give and closed-end answers, but I'll try to do a justice. Now let me begin saying a very pessimistic thing that humans are very complicated when it comes to communication. Many times I feel I wish I was a animal or I was a plant because I know what it try to communicate to human beings. But same thing doesn't happen between two humans. Let me give us a very simple example to probably to explain how complicated it is. But I'm trying to simplify it so that everybody understands what I'm trying to say. Let us say as a student, I'm sure we all have gone through the scenario that you are late to the class. I'm sure there is
Hmm.
probably very few people who are never late to the class, but I'm assuming that
Hmm.
the large population is late to the class. Three possible scenario we're going to see. One, the teacher gets angry and punishes the child. Very scenario which is we've seen across. I'm sure most of us gone through the scenario one. Scenario two, the teacher might say it is up to you. You come late, don't come late. You do what you want. It's up to you. The third scenario is there where the teacher might try to ask and find out why the student is late and then try to probably warn in a very polite way. I put it in this way. So if I have to ask you among these three scenarios, which one do you pick? Mostly a lot of children would love, or humans would love to see third one, because in end of the day, however we are always a people oriented. So what I'm trying to say you is two things probably you have to work in a communication. And one is in being an assertive. Second is trying to be people oriented because emotions is what people connect. Irrespective of the person might say, I don't bother, I'm carefree kind of person, but at the end of the day, and somewhere in the heart, they're so connected to people to people. So these two things, if they can work, I think the challenges of communications can be minimized.
Okay. So wonderfully answered, sir. Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving forward, introvert behavior, it's something we all try to come out of through the more generic suggestion is to try and be more assertive, and it is difficult to do so. So, what could you suggest?
Uh, I will say if somebody says that I'm an introvert, I want them to be an introvert. Don't become extrovert because just because there is somebody speaking, like let's say I'm speaking. But in reality, I think we are a combination of both. We are a little introvert in something and extrovert in something, and vice versa happens in both ways. Let's say I am very extrovert when it comes to stage to speak, but I'm very introvert when it comes to talking to just one person or two people. So I like to have volume of people to be around to be addressed, but when it comes to address one or two people, I find it little not very easy to do it. So I say that uh, two things probably again I am going to re-emphasize that work on being assertive. It is not difficult, but it needs practice, and also second, it needs more examples to witness. Let me give an example again, or story like this. This happened as a true story. There was a child who was looking into my wallet, and I looked for a while, sitting at distance, what the child is doing. I walked up to the child and I asked the child, "Do you need some money?" The child looked at me and said, I need it. So I asked the child, do you need it for your piggy bank? So they put a coin, right? Nowadays we put a note, we don't put coins anymore.
Yeah.
So I asked the child, do you need money for that? And the child looks at me and then he says, Then I asked him, how much do you need it? The child looks at me and then says, how much do you want to give? So I thought for a while, I opened the 500 note and gave to the child, and the child looks at me and says, no, it is too much. Give me less. So I thought for a while, and then I took out 10 rupee note and gave to the child. And the child replies back to me saying, it is a too small money.
Hmm.
The mother who overheard our conversation, who was in the kitchen, she came out with some spatula or a stick in hand, and she got a little angry and chided the child, asking, who told you this is a small money?
Hmm.
These are beautiful witnesses to see how assertive and people connections do it. I'm sure if these things are taken care, I think a lot of things can be managed. So what I'm trying to say is introverts needs examples, witnesses to appreciate, whereas an extroverts will need some kind of an examples like this again to understand how to work with the behaviors. Otherwise, what happens is the challenge with the communication is it becomes philosophy. Like in Hindi, in simple words, if I tell you,
Hmm.
जो कर सकते कर लो,
Hmm.
और जो करना चाहते कर लो. Those kind of thinking comes into picture, but communication is not philosophy many times. That's what I say. It is a pure science.
Hmm. So can we say that introverts should be divided like as a particular group and extrovert, or they are you as you told that as it's vice versa, or both of combo?
I see there are always a two combination for human beings. Nothing is like so-called only introverts and only extroverts. I don't think that is that's easy to distinguish between a person. They could be introvert in some spectrum, very large, but extrovert in very things. For example, what I'm trying to say, let's say, typically, some of the examples given, introverts are good at drawing and painting and artwork and so. But
Hmm.
if you look at their work, it is so extrovert. It talks volumes of what they're trying to say. So their communication styles are different, but maybe they're not using verbal, but they're using some form of non-verbal communication and a little verbal communication, but still a very good communicators they are. So what we have to see is expectation from them is like I see them that communicate non-verbal, and person from extrovert I'll see that they communicate mostly verbal through written or spoken form. So I think if probably your question is very nice, but when there is a clash of expectation, like let's say I say that you should speak when you have invited me, then I do these things and try to explain you things, and you might say what is happening here. So I think
Hmm.
that mismatch is a challenge. Yeah.
Okay. Due to the pandemic, we all have been in a very isolated situation, though communication still happened and it is still happening. It's mostly though online methods of texting, video calling, and other stuff, and communication has changed. How do you look at these change?
Yeah. I think we all have to accept some changes are inevitable, whether I like it or I don't like it. They will
Hmm.
change, they'll continue to change. That is first acceptance, I have to take it first. But then, however, having said this, it is not about being a rudimentary or traditional old people, but I feel that people to meet people, meeting connections are very important to happen because otherwise we would be seen as trees or plants or animals. So
Hmm.
we don't expect them to socialize and become friends and try to show to the world such an example. But humans are created in such a way that I think without that it doesn't seem life complete. So you will start feeling that I think there's something missing in life.
Okay. Speaking of that, like we have our parents, which are from the 90s, and they don't know how to use video call. And in fact, they also learn, they adapt to these changes, and that was wonderful and too amazing to see that.
I think it is not very difficult to adapt. To just give you example, I'm in Kerala now. I don't like this temperature, but I still like a lot of things of Kerala. So what I'm trying to see is can I trade off something to something else and learn things to adapt to things. But I think humans are open for it. Only it needs again examples, witnesses to show them that you do this because there are various reasons to it. But same thing with animal and the plants, we don't expect because they grow, they don't go, they don't grow.
Yeah. So yeah, your book She, that is Ekla Chalore, highlights the thoughts and the journey of someone who is finding the gender identity. What inspired you to write about this? And is this something you have personally viewed? or as a part of the LGBTQ plus community, or as an outsider and ally?
Yeah. Again, it is a very open-ended, very last question to answer. So I'll try to break this down into a smaller
Okay.
chunk and try to answer it. I was working for a university called as the Karnataka State Women University, Bijapur or Vijaypura. Now it is a new name which is
Hmm.
renamed as in Karnataka. I was traveling to various colleges for training, and one of the stop by was in a college which was a B.Ed college, which was situated in the little outskirts of a village. I finished my session and I was dropped to the main road by one of the person, and from there I was told I'll get a bus. It was a isolated road, and it was like 3 p.m. and till 5 p.m. there was not a single vehicle passed in that road. My whole concern was now where do I stay back in case I'm stuck here because there's a village on the other side, and then um, there is an college which is closed, and my concern was that. So to my luck, there somebody came in a car and stopped by and asked me, "Do you need a lift?" I looked up to the driver and asked him, "Do I sit in the front or back?" The driver says me, "Sir, whether you sit front or back, everybody will still think me as a driver. You sit anywhere you feel comfortable." So I smiled
Hmm.
at him. I sat next to him. I started having conversation. As I went and reached another destination, one thought came to my mind was, if it was 1980s or earlier than that time, an isolated road like this, a woman is standing on a highway, and a car comes and stops and asks, "Do you need a drop?" And the person gets into a car, and they have a conversation. What would be their conversation? Why would they converse? Then my second thought came was after some days that, okay, what's so exciting about, no, she's beautiful looking, maybe the man is attracted towards him, and things like this people might assume. Then I thought one more thing was like, okay, if there is a transgender standing on it, who is beautiful and very attractive, and the man who's driving, he is on the way, and he is not attracted towards at all to LGBTQ kind of a people, but still he
Hmm.
stops a car and asks for a lift if she wants a lift. So I felt this plot was very interesting. Then I started writing it one. Yeah, other than that, thank God and thanks to my parents and a lot of ecosystem around me, brought up in a very, very progressive thought process. I wouldn't mind talking to people of LGBTQ people, being with them and talk to them. I don't know dwell more about it because it is very, very personal connections with some people. I have learned a lot through them, and I feel there is some kind of a people. If you have to learn about communication of style of and people orientation where you connect people to people. I see a lot of LGBTQ people set an example about being people connections are very strong. I feel
Hmm.
emotions actually, if you want to see, they are some very interesting emotions among those group of people. Yeah. So this is how the
Sir,
book
I feel,
began.
yeah,
The story began. Yeah.
yeah. You may continue. So sorry.
And no, no problem. Yeah, this is how
Yeah.
the story of the book began, and it continued to form a book. Then a lot of things dwelled, and then I actually happened to meet some of the transgenders without telling them that I'm writing a book, trying to understand what do they think. But I didn't want to write a book which is very regressive because I see a lot of times we have seen stories where the transgender is forced to into kind of activities which are not liked by a lot of people, and they don't have much of choice to do it. So I want to write a little more progressive. So what happened was I'm a big fan. I would use a word like I really love writing for Rabindranath Tagore, and one of the poem I'm is so attached to me is Ekla Chalore, which is a very true sense. No, God created us alone for various reasons to travel. So see, taking that context, I tried to put that poem in my story. Try to explain like how this person who chose to be transgender walks her life and what happens in her life. So it's a beautiful story, and I wish to see it is becoming a movie in some time in the future.
Definitely, sir, it would be. I feel
Thank you.
that, yeah, you're welcome, sir. I feel even today, transgender, like we do celebrate Pride Day as it has been there. So, but there are people who they are just not ready to adapt that thing. And like speaking of like 6 months or 1 year ago, where I used to live, there was just all of a sudden one like I don't know what I should call them. He or she got to know that she is not from our community. The very next day, her or his parents just removed from the house, and then after like earlier, some of the LGBTQ members just come to our houses to ask for the money and stuff. So they got to know this, and they took that person and they took with him, and today he's a doctor.
Oh, wonderful!
Mm, yeah.
If you're connected, please do connect to me. I would love to talk to that person.
Okay, sure, sir.
Yeah, yeah.
Moving
No, I
forward,
think
yeah. Sorry. I'm
no,
so sorry.
yeah, I think maybe I'll tell you quickly a story why this is difficult to accept things around us, because
Hmm.
we are with set of kind of two reasons why we don't change. I'll tell you a story if I'm given some more time.
Sorry,
Can
you
I?
are. You have. Yes,
Yeah,
of
yeah.
course.
Uh, there was a little. This is a very favorite story of mine. I tell probably in every other places where I address students. There was a little boy who was standing on a highway, and the man who was living the same area for last, let's say, 30 years is going for a evening walk. And he wonders is why is the little boy standing on the highway, because quite an isolated place, why a child will come and stand on the highway. So he walks up to the boy and asks him, hey little boy, what are you doing here? The boy looks up to the man and says, uncle, I'm waiting for a bus to come here. The
Hmm.
man says, no, there's a bus stop there, go stand at a bus stop. The bus stops at bus stop, the bus doesn't stop in the middle of the road, please go. And the boy quickly looks up to the man, uncle, and says, uncle, no, the bus will come here. So the man thinks maybe the child is playing, let him do what he wants, and the man starts walking at a distance. But there are two things cannot make us fail. The one I always see is like experience, and next is an exposure cannot fail us, because we think we know things, and things has to happen that fashion, right? We know the bus has to
Hmm.
bus stop to bus stop. So the man walks back because his ego is hurt because the child is not listening, and he goes back to the little boy. Also could be concern, okay, and says,
Hmm.
"Hey, little boy, I stay in the same area for the last 30 years. The bus doesn't stop here. The bus stop at bus stop goes stand here." The boy looks a little agitated, angry, and then he looks at the man and says, "Uncle, did I not tell you the bus will come here? The bus will come here."
Hmm.
So the man wonders how can a bus come here when the bus doesn't stop for anybody in the middle of the road. It goes and stops in the bus stop, even if show hand doesn't show. So the man stands next to the little boy, thinking, "Let me be in, wait and watch if the boy is everything going to be safe on the middle of the highway." After a moment, exactly a bus comes there and stops, and the man is surprised and little agitated internally, and then he thinks I should go to probably Delhi and protest to the government of India. Why, for a man who stays in 30 years, never bus stops, but bus stops for a little boy, even without showing a hand. The boy quickly gets into the bus and takes a window seat and leans outside like this and says, "Uncle, I forgot to tell you, the driver of the bus is my father. That is why the bus stopped here."
Wow.
So what I'm trying to tell you through the story, your example is to drive is to all of us is um, it is important that every encounter or every person we meet, everything we come in touch or encounter in life has a perspective and perception. It may not be right to us, but it is going to make us to think again and again to help us to become a better person, not become bad person. So let us not be rigid. That is one of the reason I think many times mixing of spiritualism and philosophy in everything
Hmm.
else can affect us build relationship with people and communicate better. If we want to have good communication, I think these two things have to be set little aside or set within your heart, but not outside everybody.
True things are sure. Moving forward, I'm so sorry to interrupt earlier. It's during teenagers to late 20s that most of us start questioning regarding a gender identity. Do you suggest that the educational institute should take actions to help them? And if yes, then how?
Uh, it's very difficult to generalize, but I will say if you have to believe that education institutions are meant for imparting education, knowledge, and moral, I think they have to be very liberal first. What I'm trying to say is there's the biggest hindrance in education institution is religion many times. They carry the philosophy of their own. They don't carry a philosophy of everybody around. So unfortunately, that happens. I'm not saying they are against it, but
Hmm.
more or less it gets projected and presented particular religion very high. It's not wrong to have religion, but it again I feel that it should be for me and the, my backyard. It is for me, my garden, right? That is how I should see philosophy and religion. But when this comes into picture, I feel there will be a lot of challenges, like and question as you pinpoint, gender identity challenges becomes much larger because I don't think religions appreciate that as a reason. In spite, the religion themselves might say, "Don't judge others," but they start judging because it is written somewhere saying that this is what means it is this way. See, as a spiritual leader, I can probably say, okay, I think this what it says is up to you to decide, and the story should stop. But because it is written, you should not do is enforcing. Is probably, and I think very difficult. And I see because of this, what will happen? There's going to be an rejection from other people who want to dwell into what they think is right, and then I think many times we're going to make people not better, we're going to make them more bad.
True, sir.
In case there is a hindrance of an religion into every activity happens in the education institution.
As
It is tough
speaking,
in
sir,
India.
yeah, yeah, it is a lot of stuff. As speaking, that it is said, wisely said that we shouldn't be judge a book by its cover, but we all do that. We always judge a book by its cover. Do you
Uh,
agree?
mm, yeah, I think largely yes, because I think we like celebrities more than actually a lot of people who are hardworking and trying to make things better for country and people. So I think I remember when my father used to work in hospital, I used to go and talk probably to those ayas who would clean surfaces, make things ready
Hmm.
for operation theaters,
Hmm.
or the nurses or brothers in the hospital, because I felt what they have made it ready for a doctor, probably doctor himself or herself may not do those things ready. So I'm not saying
Hmm.
doctor should do it, but what I'm trying to say is many times we go thank the doctor, but we forget there are a lot of other forces which are working towards it. It needs a lot of an insights for everyone to solve this such kind of a challenges and problems.
Yeah, sure, sir. Moving forward, though time has progressed, there are still a lot of social expectations and family pressure. This makes it difficult for people to actively try to untry and understand their identity and their, most importantly, their sexual preference. So most do not venture into it because they are scared of outsider expectations. So what are the advices you would like to give?
And I like the very nice dialogue from movies, saying "Jo dar gaya wo mar gaya." I think it is your battle. You should fight it out, and it is your story. Write your own story. Always that is how we should look at it. But doesn't mean that I close my eyes and close my ears, because sometimes you have to listen to various other views and perspectives. Not that you have to adapt them, but maybe there's somebody telling you for something very good. I'm not talking about very general thing, but when it comes to identity, it's important that you go across, meet a lot of people, and try to understand what you feel, what does it mean to you yourself, and seek help from them. And then don't isolate because there is somebody has rejected you. I think that challenge I see with the LGBTQ group. At times, I'm not saying everybody is doing that, but I see that because they feel uh, dejected and rejected by some people, and they start vice versa rejecting others as well in these consequences. So it's become like a political parties fighting once against other at times. I know there are things are not right with sometime with the group which should get support. But what I'm saying is like, if I made choice, let's say a very simple example, okay, like morning, if I feel like I want to eat, let's say parota, and it is my desire to make things happen, I don't think I should trouble my mother or somebody else to make parota for me because it is my desire to do it. At some point, I think we should get up and say that, okay, let me do this and fix my
Hmm.
problems. If you don't do it, I don't think people are going to be around somebody trying to support them all the life. It's not possible. I think very impractical expectation people might have it. And I think second, they might have fear is um, it is a little strange phenomena, but I have seen this. They are worried. Okay, how will my parents and my friends will think of me, what I am? One. Next thing is they'll think my inheritance of my generation will go away in case I choose this. The fear of losing away things is there. So I think communication tells to all of us a very nice thing. I'll tell you this in simple thing. It will either reward us or it will punish us. When you punishes it, it is a miscommunication. When it rewards it, it gives us joy and happiness. So it has both a facet of it. Let accept it. We cannot avoid it. The more we run away from it, the more I think rejections or punishments are going to be large in communication. So it's important that you accept that I'm going to lose something. I'm going to get something out of every step I take in communication.
But there are some people that are carrying themselves as okay, there are a human being, they are different from others, but yes, they are proud of them, and that I like about them a lot.
I think we should all should be happy about what we are. See, it's one life. I don't think we should complicate it than required, because there's already a lot of complications are done by various reasons. Even if I want to do things, the corona is not allowing me, and the policies around this are not allowing us to do things. So I think let's not complicate life more than and do what is nice thing can be done in one life.
Yeah, surely. Moving forward, why did you decide on a career in robotics?
Okay. I'm a people-oriented person, and I didn't choose to be in robotics engineering as such. I've been more of an academician in terms of training and development for students and children. Uh, but many other things came with time, and they came with a lot of reasons. I was in academics, and one day somebody called me, and that follows from Mr. Raghu, who is one of the co-founder of QtPi Robotics,
Hmm.
and he happened to suggest me that no, why don't I join him? Then I met him, and then I said no, 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 I'm very happy in academics where we go to 1, 2 classes, finish our classes, sign some papers, check some
Mhm.
examination papers, and then we finish a 5 o'clock work, and we go back home. We have our own me time, things like this, and then we have holidays or holidays for us, and we work a very different kind of setup. I said I can't work in a corporate, or if I can't work in startups, not easy for me, I said.
Hmm.
And I have tried startups in different ways in my own capacity, and somewhere I felt more happy being in education industry, uh, to be in a schools and college campuses. But then he said, no, how about you coming for 3 months on board us? So
Hmm.
with a lot of ifs and buts, I joined 3 months, and then he pushed me for 6 months. And eventually by this April, I'll finish 5 years with them.
Wow,
So
congratulations,
yeah,
sir.
yeah, thank you. So I like a few things about them. One is they have actually designed amazingly robotic kit box for children. I think somebody like like a lot of parents have said that looks like Lego of India, LEGO, Lego of India. So
Hmm.
which is very very complimentary to see that somebody can compare us with an US company which is 60 or 70 years old company, if I correctly recall. So I think that is one nice thing which I see. Second reason I see is because he was my student at Tata Institute. Somewhere
Hmm.
that kind of liking I have it, that I wanted to be with some student to work, because there's one story which inspired me many years ago. Was uh, there's well-known scientist. It is a story. I'm not sure whether it's true, but it's a story. It is nice to hear. He
Hmm.
did some interesting research, and he goes back to his professor and says, "I wanted you to review my work." The professor was so
Hmm.
impressed that he quit his job, and he said, "I would like to work with you and work under you, because I see that you have tremendous kind of work which you're doing it, and that scientist happened to be in Mr. Newton."
Wow.
So that was somewhere stuck. So I'm a kind of person, even if you say me that you're doing some interesting job, and then I feel very much connected to it, probably I might leave things and work under you. I wouldn't mind like what age you are, what where are you from, what language do you speak, what all that. So it is always that business connects me very very deep in me, and especially when it has to do with children and education.
That's wonderful, sir. As you are a soft skill trainer, I would like to know that how do you cope up when you have too much work on your plate?
Uh, no, being on stage has never been a challenge or trouble. I'm saying, like you tell me to like keep speaking like continuously for like for 5, 6 hours or 7 hours. I've done that, so that has never been a challenge so far. Maybe I think uh, I had only one challenge which I face is mostly to do with the temperature. If it's very very warm, then I'm find it very difficult to survive in under the conditions. But
Hmm.
then I have learned it in my own ways to how do I manage such challenges being a soft skill trainer. Um, yeah, I think I regularly read and write and blog and then interview people for newspaper articles or my videos I do with them on various aspects. I think that ongoing process is actually helping me to evolve myself with time. So there is no one formula and there is no one book. There are a lot of things, and everybody gives me some kind of an insights to work on my soft skill training.
Okay. Speaking of, as you are a education journalist, what can we learn from the charter schools in other communities and nationwide?
Um, See, in Indian context, I feel the regular schools are more better because opportunity to go from from regular schools like CBSE, state boards, or any board like that are more important because alternative careers are not very easy in Indian context for some more time. I don't know how many years, but alternative careers are not easy. I still feel the children have to go to uh, normal way, the way all of us studied in schools, regular schools, and go about it. Any alternate schools, I don't see it is easy for a lot of children and parents in the future. Yeah,
Okay.
I wouldn't recommend now.
Okay. Sure. So, lastly, what are you most proud of regarding the company as you are the chief executive at QT's team?
No, these are just designation positions. I'm not very fancy about it. It's just to, okay. Yeah, I think I keep get to interact with a lot of people very regularly. To put a scale, like sometime given opportunity, I get to talk to about like thousands of children in this 1 week time. I think that fascinates me a lot. Then I meet a lot of educators, and there is every time there is a story which I hear from people and challenges of them. So it feels so nice that no that you're always in an ecosystem where you feel happy what you're doing it. So I think that is probably driving me continues to do it. If I was not happy, probably I wouldn't have been in that position or in that particular activity doing so far. I think stick to something which makes you happy. Always that is what I see it as, and I'm making sure because um, I know there's an argument that people can say money is important, but how much
Hmm.
is the question which you have to
Hmm.
answer. There's no end to how much we want it because there will be a more challenges of spending away. So let's say I get 10,000, for example. Let's say there will be expense of 11,000 in case I don't know how to manage 10,000. So there's no dearth of earning money and no end of asking for it. Somewhere we should say, okay, this makes sense and this is what I want to do and this is how I'm happy and this is how I'm doing contribution. I think that, yeah, probably something like that.
Yes. Okay. In today's time, we all are greedy for the money. Let's just accept that. Everyone wants money.
No, I'm not denying the fact of money is not required because otherwise, I don't think we can buy things, eat, and leave all that. But no, I would say that that is a basic necessities of life, and then something of let's say 10 or 20% of that, some number you put and say that is savings of mine. But I think that has to stop. The buck has to stop somewhere there. It doesn't make sense of like say I earn 100 and then 80 I save it and 20 I spend it and then it's just accumulating one way, or I spend everything. Even that is not right. So there has to be an some kind of financial advisor for each one of us in case we don't know what money means to us. I think that if you do it, I think it's okay. I think it's one life. I'm saying again, uh, do that is all makes you happier because I don't know whether it's going to be second life, even if it's there, and I don't know what does it mean.
Okay. So, last but not the least, a big thank you to each one of you who made this live session quite memorable. I extend a very hearty vote of thanks to our chief guest, that is Mr. Santosh sir, who spared the time from his busy schedule to charm the session. I thank all the viewers who joined the live session, and most importantly, our founder Manish sir and co-founder Nitesh sir for letting us conduct the session. So, before ending, I would like to end this on a positive note. It's by Carl Jung. He says that the privilege of a lifetime is to become who you are. Anything you
Yeah.
would like to add?
It's your story. Write it the way you want it.
Okay, wonderful, sir. Thank you so much. I had a very
Thank you so much.
grateful time.
Yeah.
Thank you.
Namaskar to everybody.
Namaskar. I like that. Okay, bye.
Yeah.